there, comic book friends. I'm Travis.
And I'm Ethan.
And this is the second half of the
first week of September.
Yep, for our Monster Comic reviews. And we're going to start off by talking about Dial H, issue 0.
This is probably my favorite issue 0 I've read so far. Oh my god, it makes a whole new, it adds a whole new flavor to this book, and it adds stuff to the storyline that we're having now, in the sense that using the dial doesn't necessarily, why using the dial when it gives you powers, why it also kind of makes you that person that you become, because you're not just copying that person's powers. That person actually exists, and you are taking.
You're siphoning a piece of them away.
You're taking their powers.
Yeah. You're siphoning a piece of them away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's why you have that personality conflict.
Uh-huh.
That was a big whoa for me. I mean, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for us as readers knowing that, because of course every time we pop into a new person, you can think, oh geez, they've taken a superhero away from someplace else, some champion or whatever from someplace else.
And it does have drastic effects, because I mean, it just randomly takes a power from them. As we find out in this one, the lady who proceeds to use the dial,
bumper car.
becomes,
yeah, right.
Like, what's her name?
Bumper car or something.
Oh well,
Lady
it's this lady with a bumper car, right? Pretty much, and she flies around and she beats the crap out of this dragon, electrocutes it and whatnot, because it's destroying.
Bumper Carla. Because, right, so she's trying to save her city. So, she bumps the crap out of the dragon and beats it. And then she and her friend search for, she stays and rules her rules because she doesn't want to be queen. Her people. Uh-huh.
She stays and guides her people, right, but still searches kind of for the dial, while her friend goes across the land and, talks to scholars about the symbols and searches for it, right? Yeah. And one day, this guy shows up and tells the lady who used the dial that he needs to talk to her. Because Bumper Carla shows up and kills her. Because we find out that because she steals Bumper Carla's powers right in the middle of a big fight.
A lot of people die.
And a ton of people die. Because Bumper Carla was the most powerful of them all. Mm-hmm. Of all the people in that area who had superpowers, who were that team who protected the carnival.
Right, whatever that reality is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Bumper Carla lost her powers in the middle of the huge fight. And yes, tons of people died. So she comes back and she kills her as revenge. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty good issue. What do you think?
I think that whole story nugget is cool, but it will be more interesting, I think, if they can somehow make it to at some point Manitou and Nelson both learn that when they keep dialing the dial and keep getting themselves powers, that they're robbing a hero from someplace else. Because right now there's no consequences.
Yep.
For them. They don't know there's any consequences. We as readers know there's consequences.
Yeah.
So are we ever going to see that story again? Is that ever going to play out anywhere else? I mean, it's a cool idea. Don't get me wrong, it's a cool idea. But I'm curious to see if going forward that we're going to see that. Because
I think we
Because
will.
that will make an interesting story. Because then you've got the... It's not just a matter of being some bizarre, super powered person for an hour or however long before you then dial up something else. You might think about the fact, okay, when I do this, I'm taking something away from someplace else that may desperately need it too.
Yeah.
My only other issue with this, a sundial.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of...
How did we go from sundial to a phone dial?
It's still a dial.
That's the whole key here, is a round circle of symbols on it. So next it'll be
a clock?
A game of life, and it's the life dial you spin to...
That'd be awesome.
I'm just asking. I had an issue with that, I guess, for me. It was like, okay, I understand you had to put it back in ancient times, so therefore the dial was a sundial.
Yeah, but
our story...
But it doesn't look to me like it's a normal sundial. I mean, I have no idea.
Well, right, it's missing bits and pieces, and it's part of a whole funky dais. I understand
exactly.
that.
And it's
So
unlike a sundial. A sundial, you can. I mean, yes, it has to be facing a certain way, but you can pretty much put it wherever. Well, that thing had to be lined up with tons of different stuff for it to actually work. So I think it was a little bit more than a sundial.
well, obviously, and
Well,
it's
yeah,
missing
but
certain,
still.
and it's missing certain
But
numbers.
still.
Obviously, but my issue is that somewhere back, and one of the issues of Dial H, we show these alien people messing around with the technology, right, to create the dials, the rotary dials. That's how come we got phones and all that kind of crap sooner than maybe what we might have because of that whole thing, right? I mean, it was
Well,
the
see,
whole,
and
and so I
And
don't.
then I think what this dial isn't actually a dial. I think that's why it only worked once and it was completely broken. Because I think it was more
So
of
this is more of
I
a
think it was
mystical thing
home-
that happened
I
to
think
do
it
the
was
same
a,
thing?
No, I think it was a homemade kind of imitation of the dial, except less advanced because obviously they're not a higher alien civilization.
Right, but so the aliens didn't, whoever didn't give them this technology, didn't bless them with dropping this technology.
It was a
down.
mimic of it.
I don't know that I buy all that.
Okay, still, anyway though, what do you think of the book besides your little
It's not little.
beef
It's
with
big.
your little beef with the
It's big.
little beef with the sundial?
I liked it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It gives us a really interesting twist on the background of the whole thing. Like I said, I hope going forward at some point our actual heroes in the book maybe learn that information because, like I said, it creates a whole different thing.
So what'd you give it?
I would give it a very solid 3.
Yeah. I give it a higher level 3.
Okay, so what are we talking about next?
Next up we have Earth 2 issue 0. Can you tell that we read a lot of DC?
Yeah, it's gonna be a long month.
Uh-huh.
As we were talking, as DaCosta DC Comics was saying, it's like he's already ready for September to be over with.
Yep.
I hear you, man, because this is
Really old.
yeah. You start seeing these covers, you start labeling cover. What it reminds me of, back before the New 52, DC did all those white covers with a
Yes.
symbol on it, and it was just the characters flying across it. Looked cool until you start getting a whole bunch of them, and then after a while, it's just like it just became really fatiguing.
Well, you
to
say
see
look
the same
cool at one point, but these just look stupid.
Yeah, as they're bursting through their old covers.
Yeah.
At any rate, this issue in particular, whatever. I don't know. I mean, this gives us a little more information on what's his face, the guy that took out Mr. Terrific when Mr. Terrific
Well,
appears.
I love the fact that he is the difference. He is what separates Earth 2 from Earth 1. Is him. That's what happened differently, and in this case, they had an 8th member. Because in Justice League, as they talk about, the apocalypse coming, right?
Uh-huh.
They talk about, there's 7 of them.
Uh-huh.
Right, I only remember that because Flash, of course, suggests a Super
Right.
7 name or whatever, right?
Right.
But he's number 8.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference also.
He's number 8
in,
of the 7
in their
Wonders.
in their Earth.
He's already discovered. Apocalypse is already.
Well, Apocalypse is
Darkseid has already discovered anti-life.
Right. He's kicking the crap out of the place because of that, and he has that soldier.
I think he is Steppenwolf.
Yeah. Has.
I think he though is part of the main turning point in between them.
Okay.
He's part of that line that divides them.
Uh huh.
Between that Steppenwolf.
And that's important for us to know. I mean, it's nice to know who he is because obviously he jacks up Mr. Terrific, and we didn't know who he was when he shows up and scrambles
I'm
Mr.
the
Terrific.
smartest man in the world. Ha.
Right. So I mean, it was good for that.
Yeah. We kind of Nope.
Let's get back to the regular storyline, right?
Yep.
With all these books. That's gonna be the running theme I think through this entire month, isn't it? Let's get back to the regular storyline.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, it was okay. I've been really liking Earth 2. Other than that piece of information to kind of get where does he land in the grand scheme of things, and who knows that he's a traitor and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Of the current people that are on Earth 2, I don't think people do.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, anything else you want to say about the book?
No, not really. What would you give it?
I would give it a.
I give Earth 2 a 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's give it a 2-2.
Yeah.
Then it'd be cute. Okay, next we're gonna talk about The one, the only,
The Green Arrow.
the Green Arrow. Actually, it's just Green Arrow. Issue 0. Origin issue. It says down here that it's written by Anicetti with Freddie Williams II doing artwork. That is wrong. Anicetti does not write this book, I do not believe. I believe it was written by Judd Winick. Let me double check, but I'm almost positive. Yep, Judd Winick is the writer. So why they put her on the cover?
Can I see that real quick?
Sure.
I don't think I actually read this. Like, I don't think I even actually looked at this and said, I'm not gonna read this. It looks
Really?
stupid. Yeah, really.
You didn't read it?
Nope, I don't think I read it.
You have no opinion then.
Oh well, okay, that's okay. It sucks.
No, actually it was a better issue than what they have been.
Oh really? Oh darn it.
Come on. It can't go down.
Well yeah, but still, I don't think it can go up either.
But, in all seriousness, because I love to talk about my Green Arrow,
I know.
this points out everything that's broken about the book. So in this, he's a partying fiend. He's on this oil rig, and his party ends up getting them in trouble. That lets in through the security, lets in this guy that basically their MO is they attack these oil rigs, they capture it, they suck out billions of gallons of oil, right, for all this money, and then they leave and they hold everybody hostage. Normally they don't kill anybody, but they strap bombs to everybody, right? He decides that he's gonna go kick their ass.
Of course.
You know, with his bow, he goes rushing out there and screws up and ends up blowing everybody up, blows his girlfriend up. The only person that seems to really care about him, and he has a friend at this time whose name is like Tommy or Thomas Merlin, spelled with a Y. Okay, like
oh yeah,
like his nemesis pre-52, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he screws up. He thinks he can handle it all. Screws the whole thing up. Blows the whole place to hell. Merlin tackles him at the last second, and they go flying off the oil rig. Merlin gets just burnt to a crisp, just about, not dead, or maybe dead seeming, and they wash away. Of course, she got blown up because she had a bomb strapped to her chest, and a whole bunch of other people got blown up. Okay. So, he gets to this island. He's determined that because of all this horrible stuff that's happened, that he's going to turn over a new leaf, and he's going to be this this better person because of this horrific thing that happened. Mm-hmm. Well, so have we seen him being this better person yet?
Nope.
No, not at all. It's like he didn't learn a damn thing from this origin story, which if he actually had this origin story, no Aquaman in here. You know, you thought maybe there'd be the Aquaman. No Aquaman in it whatsoever. He comes off the island. He bails out Roy Harper out of jail because Roy Harper has hacked into his computer system of Queen Industries. So he's got a deal going with Queen. He's like with Roy. Roy's the person who builds his arrows to begin with.
Oh really?
Yeah. So that gives an interesting background to Roy, and basically he's giving Roy a second chance, is what he's doing. But at the very end, it shows Merlin. Merlin did not die. He ends up being washed up on shore on some little island out in the middle of the, I don't know where, and he has been in a coma for 5 years on this island with a bunch of, like, the equivalent of monks or nuns having taken care of him, and he wakes up. And he's still completely in bandages except for one eye. I mean, so he's completely bandaged. So maybe this introduces some potential nemesis down the road.
I guess.
But yeah, it just once again points out all the things that are wrong with the Green Arrow. He didn't learn anything from this. He doesn't act like he's ever done anything from it, whatnot, and it's just a giant cluster of stink.
Yeah.
I actually didn't mind the issue. It was fine as far as an origin issue, kind of. I would give it a high 2, low 3. And you'd give it nothing because you didn't read it.
Yep. I'm pretty sure I would have
spend all that good money. Lean in here so they can see your beautiful face. I spend all that good money on comic books and you didn't even read them.
Sorry. Okay, I mean, whatever.
Hey, what are we talking about next?
Okay, next up we have Stormwatch, issue 0.
Wow, that's a novel concept, issue 0.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of like this issue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like
this. This was actually one of the, in my opinion, one of the enjoyable issues of that we read so far of the 0 issues. It gives us kind of an origin, not of Stormwatch. Well, it does a little bit, as much as it gives us also an origin on the Century Babies.
Yes.
Which is cool. And it's interesting that Stormwatch originally was called
Demon Knights.
They were called Demon Knights.
So.
And then they end up changing their name to Stormwatch. And the different Century Babies were cool.
Yeah. They're all Jennies.
They're all Jennies. Do you think that
they're like reincarnations?
Yeah,
or?
Jenny Quark, Jenny Spark, Jenny whatever.
I don't know.
And they all have whatever the cutting edge power is of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, so
well, the era, Like,
It's-
what's
it's-
her face? Jenny Spark was like during the punk rock era of England
Right.
kind of thing, so she had electricity.
Right, it was electricity.
Right, there was, I remember. what her
Before
name
that, it was steampunk.
Yeah, it was.
There was a steampunk one.
Smoke kind of thing.
You know,
yeah.
steam and light. Of course, the current one, it's quantum.
Mm-hmm.
It's quantum powers and whatnot. Makes perfect sense as far as that goes.
Extreme quantum physics. Yeah.
Right. So that's all cool. Do you really think that was really Adam? Do you think Adam really came back? Or do you think it was the shadow cabinet gallery type dudes giving her a history?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I
though.
mean, because then they
This
did
ad-
a really good job copying him because
Right.
then they talk about him aging backwards in time, right?
Well, they have to know all that. They've been around this entire time.
Exactly. But if he is really Merlin,
Right.
right?
He's called
If-
it one year.
and even though they all kind of hated him when he was leader, it seemed to me like they still respected him and that he still decently had.
He was knowledgeable.
Exactly.
Not necessarily
So-
a good leader of a group of people, but definitely knowledgeable.
So, I don't know. If anybody would escape the Shadow Lord's trap,
Potentially.
then I can see
Merlin.
how
Yeah.
I could see how it would be Merlin.
Yeah. I really like it. I really liked it. I think it added to the mythos of Stormwatch.
Yeah.
We didn't have to have it, but it definitely gave us more background and more things to ponder moving forward with what's going on and the fact that they're implying that this group may end up killing themselves
Yeah.
or each
Well,
other.
this is the era that they're supposed to do that.
Right. This could be the finale of Stormwatch in this era.
Yep.
So, I really enjoyed it.
I think I'd give it a solid 4. I think
I
actually.
think so too. It was definitely enjoyable. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Swamp Thing issue 0, which of course we kind of talked about the fact that what's his fame, Arcane
Arcane, yeah.
is just a total,
Baby killer.
well, that too, but he's hardcore. Are you looking for the baby killing page?
Yep, I'm looking for the baby killer. Although we do have this annoying freaking zipper.
Oh yeah, I mean I made a big stink out of it while I was reading this.
It's a
At the very beginning of the thing, first panel, first thing in there, it says that it's 1897. It says 1897, and
Yeah, that's him.
okay, it says 1897, and then it proceeds to show this girl walking around in a big puffy winter coat.
With the zipper.
Zipper's down there.
They make a big deal of the zipper
It
too.
looks no, they didn't make a big deal of the zipper. I made a big deal of the zipper. It just looks, the coat looks very modern to me for being that era, and it goes on to show, and then it shows it actually have a double zipper in it, and so I'm sitting there as I'm watching it. Of course, Google's a wonderful thing. I Google on my phone. It says that zippers went into mainstream manufacturing in 1901. But there were zippers around in that era, but they were very, very rare. The first ones that were actually exposed to the populace were at the World's Fair, which was right around the exact same time. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It's not necessarily.
It doesn't matter to the story at all. It just freaked me out. It just
It's a double zipper though.
I know.
mean, it's not like she's wearing 2 coats. She has a double zipper inside
Right.
of her coat, which even then, I don't think they would have had that. I mean, I guess whatever.
I'm getting hung up on something that's probably
Okay.
stupid, but it just like screamed at me for some reason. I don't know why and whatnot.
There's another Arcane, easily ripping the crap out of the. He has a thing for biting people. He just really likes biting people.
Eating them. Yep.
He just kind of bites off.
Crushes his head. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love these panels where it's like parts of him and then the stitches in between that are holding him together. Those are mortifying.
The stitches.
Awesome, but mortifying.
The panels are stitched together, loosely stitched together pieces of flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this issue. It was pretty good. It gave us some insight on
Well, I think it was a good origin issue. It was certainly a good origin issue as far as where Alec Holland was before our issue 1, where we start reading it at, where he's supposedly come back. So he sat under the swamp for 5 years or whatever until he slowly being healed and slowly being put back together again.
I guess.
You guess?
I don't know. Well, it looks like he's really dead here, so I don't think he was just healed and slowly put back together. I think he was definitely resurrected.
So he's a fake person?
Not necessarily. He was just resurrected.
So the green has the ability to resurrect?
Well, the red did it.
The red deals in flesh, though.
Yes, but okay. I guess he might not be completely dead, because now that I think about it,
I think they
plants-
put him into stasis. I think they put him into stasis. They sunk him down to the bottom into the peat moss down there, and I think they, while he was at the last moments
The
of
very,
life,
very,
I
very-
think they ran the plants into him and whatnot. And you see it going up into his nose and into his mouth and whatnot. And I think they put him, I mean, horrifically damaged. It took him a long time, obviously, to bring him back.
So I want to know, how does Arcanum die?
Yeah, how do you get shut down?
Because-
yeah, they need to have a 0 issue of the rod.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
No. Well, I don't know. They just
But-
need to portray it as a 0 issue.
But it would be interesting to find out how he got taken out.
Because they talk about ha 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 because they brought back Animal Man.
Right, in the annuals, right, or the storyline somewhere, they say, oh, whoops, because you cheated and resurrected the guy, we're gonna resurrect our we're gonna resurrect our knight.
Arcanum, right? So how did Arcanum die? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, who took him out finally? Because man,
Or did his daughter take him out, or did the Rock just decide that it was time
Abigail,
to put him
yeah.
away, and that's why they brought Abigail?
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's working fine, so
Yeah, so something took him out. So it'd be curious to know that story.
yeah.
Okay, well, what will we get that issue?
I'd give it a 3.
Yep, I give it a 3 also. It did add to it. It didn't muddy it. It had a point.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, what's next and last?
Yep. Thank God. Huntress World's Finest, or wow,
World's Finest.
Huntress and Power Girl, issue 0.
Yeah, I was excited for this because I had seen the cover. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be cool. You know, 'cause she looks cool in that. I like the Robin costume.
Yep.
I like the way the Robin costume looks. I like this Supergirl costume far better than the Power Girl costume. All excited to get to read this thing and whatnot. I know you have an issue with the art. I don't have an issue with the art. I actually don't mind that style at all. I don't know. This is like all the other issues that we've had here.
Yep.
Really, it's bland. It has a few cute moments in it with the argument between Batman and Catwoman over whether or not the daughter's going to do her stuff or not do her stuff.
I like that because that's just the stereotypical, like, I don't know, like older kind of Batman Catwoman relationship thing.
Yeah.
The argument and the sloppy makeouts, so on and so forth.
Right.
But
Otherwise, this didn't add anything. It didn't. I mean, okay, it shows us how these two became friends, kind of.
I guess.
But what's the point? We didn't need it. It wasn't like it was. It wasn't. It didn't even have really any emotional resonance, did it? I mean, her mother was killed. She rushes in to beat the bad guys. It didn't feel emotional at all. Mom's dead. I'm gonna go beat these guys up. It's still, to me, it didn't have. I mean, I understand you'd be upset and whatnot, but it didn't feel it. I didn't feel it at all. It didn't feel genuine. It felt really phony. I mean, it's kind of fun watching Supergirl fly in there and smash things around and whatnot. I go, yeah, by the way, you can't tell anybody I was here.
Yeah.
But let's finish this or whatever. But I mean, yeah, it was. I quit collecting that. I don't think I'm getting any more issues. I don't think I have any more issues coming, which is perfectly fine.
That's okay with me.
Because it's just dull. It's so dull.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate. These could be really interesting, strong characters, and they're just dull.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we end for the first week of September. Anything else you want to say about it?
Nope.
Week 1 down. 3 more weeks to go.
Ugh.
Okay. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.